Hello and welcome back to another episode of Random Class Generator for Battlefield 4. Very exciting stuff. We are back again. This is episode number 9, so we're one away from the live episode. And a quick thing about the live episode, there'll be 2 videos for it. One which will be a complete full live game of some choice of some choosing of mine, and the other one will just be highlights of other live games that'll all be mashed together of just like random things, whether I do shit, bad, poor, good streaks, whatever, just shoved in there, and it's all good and it's all done. So yeah, let's get on with this episode and let me tell you about the guns that we have today. In this episode, we have the M4 with the G18 as a backup. It has a 3.4 times optic, it has a silencer, a tactical flashlight and an angled grip. The G18 just has the iron sights and a tri-beam laser, just like the fucking Predator. The tri-beam laser, yeah, looks pretty damn cool. Haven't really tried out the tri-beam laser that much, but pretty much does the same as any of the other lasers. So in terms of sort of like weapon stats and things, the M4 has 800 rounds per minute. It does 24 damage at 8 meters or closer, dropping off to about 15.4 at 50 meters or longer. Has a very quick reload for the carbines, 1.85 seconds for the short and a 2.4 for the long reload. So fairly fast reload, probably one of the quickest in terms of the carbines. The recoil is generally pretty easy. It pulls upwards and to the right a little bit. You're looking at the general sort of 31 bullets in a magazine, and it has the unique aspect of being the only burst carbine out of all the carbines. So pretty interesting there, pretty sort of unique. G18 is also quite unique. It has 900 rounds per minute, which is tied with the M9 3R, which I've reviewed before, for the highest rounds per minute, which was absolutely ridiculous. It's also one of the lowest damaging pistols per shot, 18 at 8 meters, dropping off to 10.5 at 50 meters. Recoil pulls heavily up, like fucking huge up, like massively up. This thing has a retarded amount of upward recoil, absolutely fucking ridiculous. Has 20 bullets in a magazine and has a reload time of about 1.2 short and 1.45, which is generally pretty average for the pistols. Also, it's quite unique in terms that it's the only fully automatic pistol out of all the pistols. So once you fire this thing, bang, all the bullets are gone. 900 rounds per minute, that is ridiculous. So in terms of overall what you're looking at in the class, does it work well? Well, there are a few surprises in there, but not too much. It's a bit downy and a bit shit, to be honest. In terms of overall goodness, like G18 I was actually fairly surprised at. In close range, the G18 is an absolute fucking machine. It is ridiculously good. It will rip people in half, quite literally. You were not expecting, because of the rate of fire, you wouldn't expect how quick this kills people at close range, but it absolutely destroys them. It's a ridiculous little weapon, and I thought I was going to hate it personally, because when last time I used it, it was terrible, but this time around, not too bad. Not too bad at all. Believe it or not, the M4 carbine is actually pretty damn solid overall. I've already mastered this weapon before, and it was pretty good actually. It was really enjoyable. They did patch it like quite a few patches ago and made it much better than it already was. And yeah, overall it is actually not a bad carbine. It's actually, main strengths of it, it's actually pretty damn solid up close. And you can actually fire down a lot of bullets really quickly. 800 rounds per minute is nothing to be sniffed at, remember. It's pretty damn good, damage is good, range is pretty solid on it. It's not too bad at all, but the main fault where the weapon falls down is of course the attachments. Now I'm not saying the attachments are bad, by themselves they could work out pretty well, like the 3.4 times and things like that. That could work well for the M4, like the thing could kill at range and could be good at range, but things like the silencer really let it down. I mean, I don't really need a silencer on this setup. That's the main thing letting it down. I really do like silencer. It's one of my favourite attachments, but it really just ruins the overall gun, because with the 3.4 times optic, I'm trying to hit people at range and not really at close, trying to avoid close range engagements, and the silencer is going to force me to try and be close and sneaky, but I can't be because I want to hit people at range, and then it fucks with bullet velocity, so the bullets take an age to hit people, and overall it's just really and frustrating to use. It can be a right pain in the fucking ass. It really is. If I wanted to change it, I mean the tactical light is okay. The angled grip, which reduces the recoil from the first sort of shot, that's fairly useful. But the main problem I had with it was when I was trying to hit people at range, the bullet spread wasn't exactly where I wanted it to. The bullets were going off course a lot, and I have a feeling that was because I was trying to shoot too fast to try and compensate for the bullet velocity. And in the end, it's resulted in me being overall very inaccurate. Well, I think if I had something like maybe a red dot or not a silencer, I think it would be much more accurate and the class would have worked out much better than it should have done. But I feel like overall it was just sucky and a bit shit, and it just didn't work, and it just sort of fell through. It wasn't really that great. I mean, if I was to try and recommend the sort of class I'd try and go for it, I would maybe have a 4x optic, but not a silencer, maybe something like a muzzle brake or something like that, to try and reduce sort of upwards recoil and things like that. But I would try and have like a red dot, no silencer, maybe like a flash hider, a grip of some kind, those sort of things that your standard kind of setup, and it would work really well. This weapon is really good when operated right, but the attachments that I got and things like that just didn't work. The G18 in terms of overall was a good little backup pistol to have. I would recommend this thing maybe if you wanted something like a recon class. You're like, right, I need to switch to a close quarter weapon that isn't like a shorty or a magnum. G18, that will do me. See, things like that, maybe G18 or Desert Eagle would actually complement this class fairly nicely. Get that big powerhouse backup to back your ass up when you're getting wrecked. In terms of overall accuracy, I don't think the weapon feels that accurate. I mean, in comparison to other carbines, maybe something like the AKU-12 or something like that, which have sort of like a lower rate of fire, but they feel quite accurate range. This thing didn't feel very accurate, which is quite strange, considering it is a burst fire weapon, and you would expect it to be able to sort of like maintain itself and be more accurate, and with the burst it allows yourself to give you more time to aim and be accurate and things like that. But I don't know, it didn't seem to work. The optics seemed to exaggerate the recoil too much for me, and I just didn't like the feeling of the class, and I didn't think it really worked out very well. I did have good patches here and there, but overall it just sort of struggled, and on some maps, you know, this weapon would not work out, like Locker, Metro, those sort of close, intense maps like Flood Zone maybe as another example, wouldn't work out very well. You're looking at more maps sort of where there's more open corridors, engagements, maybe something like Dawnbreaker would be a very good example, of course, of a map that would work out very well for this weapon. Another problem that you have with the M4, which also affects the M16A4, is if you fire too quickly and too often, the weapon will appear to jam and not work. This is because you are pushing the weapon too far beyond its rate of fire, and if you don't use the weapon a lot, this can get a bit tricky to get used to, and this can screw you up in a lot of circumstances where you're trying to kill people or whatever, and you don't work because your weapon isn't firing, no bullets are coming out because you're trying to fire too quickly, and you're sort of left there stuck for like maybe a second or two, and you're like, oh shit, I have done fucked up once again, and you end up and you die. So yeah, I mean, overall the weapon's got a quick reload and things like that, really good things that work well with it, but the weapon just doesn't come out very nicely in the end because of the attachments that have been stuck on this weapon. It just doesn't work very well. So in terms of overall ranking and rating and all that sort of things, I've elected to give it a 4 out of 5 because I think the class overall is below average. It just doesn't really work that well. The class I got with it was the medic class, and I thought the medic class was okay, but I think I personally would have preferred something like the engineer and things like that. Maybe something to give me a bit more range, like an RPG, rather than the grenade launch and the health, which I don't think was required so much for this class, and I think just didn't quite work out that well. And in terms of like me playing Conquest a lot, engineer maybe would have helped me a lot more than the medic class. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Random Class Generator. Remember, the next episode, there'll be a live episode and a highlights episode of the live episodes, I guess. Not the same episode, but sort of thing. You'll see it when it happens. But yeah, anyway, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I will see you later. Goodbye.